Alright, well, hello people of the world and welcome to my channel. So cool's a lot. You're cool, I'm cool, we're all super cool. So I hope you are staying cool during this very fine August month. So today I am reporting out on about 2 weeks worth of testing of a product called RX Coolers Max. Online, this product has a couple of names. I've also seen it called the Max Handle Medication Cooler, the Max Cloud. Basically, there is a company in China called Zhejiang Sunclose Technology. Forgive me if I didn't say that very well. And they have been producing this product, and for the US market, I think they have some kind of an exclusive agreement with a reseller on Amazon. So this product's currently retailing for around $160 to $230, depending on whether you can catch it when it has a coupon discount. So certainly one of the higher priced medicine cooler products that I've come across in a while. So let's jump on in and see what it can do. Of course, here are all my disclaimers. Feel free to pause this slide if you are curious. And if you're one of my subscribers, you'll know by now that I'm on a mission to find the best medicine coolers for a variety of travel needs that I have, including international, domestic, and across the state of California. So let's jump on in and see what the RX Coolers Max can do. So here's some stock photos just to give you an idea of what the product looks like. So of course it has both a biogel ice pack system and a USB cooling lid. The USB cooling lid is a little bit more novel. It has a hard carry case handle that's built in. And then the case itself has a little kind of attachment feature for transporting some room temperature items in a little side carry case. So kind of a couple of unique things going on here, but the main item of interest is obviously that this is a medicine cooler product and has a bunch of claims around what kind of temperature profiles it can achieve. So I'm going to be giving this a test run today to see if it is any good. So let's keep going. Little sidetrack here. I was poking around Alibaba just to see what this product was about, who was manufacturing it. As I mentioned, I came across this product in one of the showcase videos that Zhejiang Sunclose Technology Co. was showcasing on their Alibaba company site. I started to chat with one of the representatives to learn a little bit more about what the manufacturing price was, and I was expressing interest in potentially purchasing some units for the US. And this is how I found out this particular product line. They have some kind of an exclusive seller in the USA for this model, so you can't sort of buy it from China directly for a discount. But let's jump on in and see what it can do. Okay, so maybe first of all a little bit of a product tour. So this is the box that came with it. It has this reasonably elegant magnetic flap that you open up. When you open it up, there's a bunch of stuff in there. It's kind of half thrown in, so not so well presented, but but if it gets the job done, so be it. So it has this instruction booklet, kind of the usual fare. It has a carry case that was sort of squeezed into the box from the side. It has this little container holder. It has a little bag that perhaps you can use to put your injector pens in. It has kind of a uniquely shaped, an L-shaped biogel pack. And then of course the star of the show is the container itself. They had a couple of colors. I thought I would go with the raspberry purple one, depending on what you want to call that color. It just kind of looked fun for the video, so why not? And then here is the USB cooler. So as I mentioned, it has this built-in handle that's part of the unit, and then it has quite an elegant screw cap base there for the aluminium container holder. So next, zoning in a little bit on the setup for the cooler itself, so you can get a feel for how it is. So it has the biogel mode, which looks like this. So the gel pack's actually pretty big in size. It takes about half of the container's space, plus that L piece at the base, which sort of takes the entire circumference at the bottom. And then of course there's the USB cooler lid. And then finally there's this little attachment piece that you can hook onto the side with a little clip. That's quite an interesting feature. It opens up and it's got a couple of compartments. Depending on what you want to do with it, it's suggested to be a little room temperature pill carrier or something like that. And then finally, here's the bag that comes with it. So the bag's kind of interesting because it has to deal with the geometry of this container on the side. So it has this little Velcro space that you open out. And then one thing I noticed here is it's very tight, so you have to really stretch this sort of flap over that container to be able to get it to reach the Velcro. I think they may have needed to give a little bit more length on that, because actually what happens is when you Velcro that together, it actually stretches the fabric all around and stretches that other pocket, which would have been quite a nice pocket for carrying a battery, but now because the bag has been sort of kind of stretched because it's elastic, you lose a bit of space in that pocket. So that's kind of interesting. So we'll see what that means later on. So this little container holder on the side, I'm debating whether it's of use or not, because with my travel experience here, I kind of like just getting my own travel bag, and those travel bags typically have nice pockets anyway. So basically this little container thing on the slide becomes kind of pointless, or a sort of a moot point. Anyway, maybe the other thing I'm going to mention is that gel pack's kind of interesting because it's kind of an unusual shape, and I'm starting to think that might be problematic in terms of storing medicine, because one has to create a little bit of an insulation layer between the gel pack and the medicine so that you don't freeze your product. And that little L-shaped foot on the base is going to mean that the frozen gel pack is both to one side of the container and also occupies the entire base of the container, and so the space one might have to store the medicine and also any insulation material to protect it from freezing is going to get very small. So the real estate's getting kind of small. So I think I'm going to look into that a little bit more detail in this video. So let's keep going. Okay, so regarding this carrier bag and batteries, so I thought you might like to actually see what different batteries look like with that pocket. So starting with the iWalk battery, which is quite a slim, tall battery. Here you can kind of see that it takes a little bit of work to squeeze that battery in. Everything's very, all the elastic material is quite stretched when you have that carry container sitting on the side. So just maybe something to think about as you're planning this. So now my favorite battery, the Inu Classic. So this is the one that I use for a lot of my trips. So you can kind of see that that really stretches out the pocket now. But it fits, I managed to get it in there. Debatable as to whether the seams on that pocket are going to last a long time. I'm pretty sure they're going to start threading, but anyway. So this is an Anker battery. It's a little bit bulkier. I haven't traveled with this one, but I bought it. So that Anker battery is has quite a thick width, so I just couldn't get it in there. And then that other Inu battery is the large 27,000 milliamp hour battery. So as you can see, there's no way you're going to get that in there. So this was just to kind of give you an idea that the pocket there is quite tight. When you do remove that carry container on the side, it releases a little bit of the stretch of the carry case, and you can then actually get a little bit more space to squeeze more of a battery in that pocket. So something to think about. While I'm at it with the batteries, I did do a quick kind of test to sort of see if some of the USB cooler units, they don't switch on when you plug them to certain batteries. Some of them do, some of them don't. It depends a little bit on the electronics. So I gave this one a quick test, and as you can see, some of the USB plug ports didn't activate the unit, but some of them did. So this is the Anker. The Anker batteries are a little bit interesting. They tend not to be so compatible with the let's call it the For All Family / Secrets Box / RX Coolers types units. They're a little bit fiddly in terms of whether they power on or power off. So just be cautious of those Anker batteries. But in any case, I managed to find one of the plugs that actually worked. So lucky me. And then the iWalk battery worked well. All the ports activated the cooler. I have to keep tilting it to the side so you can see that the light's on. The hard handle obscures the light when obscures the little temperature gauge panel when you're looking dead down on it. You can see how I'm just running through some of the different ports here, and overall it seems quite happy. It switches on when you plug it in with a range of different batteries. So there's my favorite, the Inu Classic. cool. I hope you found that interesting there. So I'm going to keep on going. All right. So next we have the how much can this cooler hold? So first of all, I wanted to give the gel pack a little try here. So as I was mentioning, it takes up about half of the space in the container on one side, and then there's that L-shaped base that fills the bottom of the container. So when this thing is frozen, your drug product's going to be resting on top of that ledge, which is going to be problematic in terms of avoiding product from being frozen. So you're going to have to somehow insulate that little ledge or foot. So as you saw there, I sort of comfortably fit about 4 Wegovy pens or 3 Zepbound pens there. One of the Zepbound pens was obviously in the reverse, and then just noting that with 2 of the Zepbound pens pointed downwards there, sitting on that ledge, one is going to have to be very careful about not freezing their product when that gel pack is just come out of the freezer, basically. So now taking a look at this, the USB lid with the aluminium container holder. And so there's quite a nice amount of space in there. As you can see, you can very comfortably sort of fit 3 Zepbound pens. I'm not going to screw that all the way, it just gives you a quick taste. And then here are 4 Wegovy pens, so you can kind of see there's quite a lot of room in there. You can definitely fit a 5th. I'm going to say possibly a 6th. So definitely quite a bit of real estate there. There's more real estate with the USB lid than there is when you use the gel pack. So you've hopefully kind of caught on to that as you saw that video. All right, and let's keep on going here. So of interest, I thought you might like to see side by side the RX Coolers Mini versus the RX Coolers Max versus the 4all family Voyager. So for the 4all family Voyager, this kind of gives you a side-by-side idea. So interestingly enough, the container for the RX Cooler Max and the Voyager are basically the same, except for the color and that sort of lid. I don't know what you even call that little sort of ledge where there is a little handle. And so they're actually interchangeable, which is quite interesting. So you can screw one into one and one into the other. So I thought you might find that interesting. The RX Coolers Max, actually the USB lid has a very similar geometry to the 4all family Voyager XL version, which I had played around before. So as you can see, I think all of these products are from the Secrets Box model line from the Zhenjiang Sunclose Technology Company in China. So now it sort of starts to make sense that these are very modular kinds of parts that are highly interchangeable. So I thought you might just sort of find that interesting as you're setting up your system and figuring out what to do. So I'll keep on going. All right, so now we're going to sort of get to the money shot of the presentation. So just quickly, here's my experimental setup. So I'm for this experiment set, actually I tested both the USB lid and also the the gel pack. So I'll explain that a little bit in a minute when I show the graph. So I've got a number of temperature probes that go into the container, and I use a Zepbound pen as well for a little bit of space filling. And then of course I'm using the Viva incubator here for the different temperature ranges. I put the unit slightly tilted to the side because I didn't want the unit to hit my there's a little fan system that in the Viva incubator that keeps the sort of the incubator temperature flowing consistently throughout the container, and so I didn't want the two to sort of collide with each other, and so I put the unit slightly on its side. I'm pretty sure it's immaterial to the testing results. So let's have a look at the graph. So here it is. So a lot of data with this graph. So what I can say is that it spans over about a 2-week period. It's a continuous data stream, so I really just let the temperature probes rock and roll all the way to the finish line. There isn't a pause anywhere along the way, and so let me walk you through the story so you can kind of get an idea of what this system can do. So hopefully you can start to see my mouse moving now. So starting towards the beginning of the graph, of course, we start the experiment, so the temperature starts to fall as the cooler activates, and it seems to settle out quite nicely around about the 42-43 Fahrenheit range, which is quite nice. And this is with a sort of a room ambient temperature of about 70, plus or minus 4 or 5 Fahrenheit. So I let this roll for several days. I'm here just sort of getting a feel for how things are working, what it's up to, what it can do. And then around about day 5-ish, I think it was, I transition and I place the unit in the incubator, and I start testing it at various temperatures. So as we go along, first of all, I sort of try out the 80s to 85 zone, then I go a little bit higher and I start to try out the 85 zone of temperature, and then I go a little bit higher and I start to try out the 90 to 95 zone, and then I go all in with the 105 Fahrenheit zone. So as you can see, really as the unit goes beyond the 90-95 zone, it really it starts to struggle to be able to stay below 46 Fahrenheit. And then of course when you go in the 100 plus Fahrenheit zone, it really it really starts to show there, because the core temperature of the cooler almost goes to sort of the 55-60 Fahrenheit mark. That said, if you're trying to protect insulin from being in the desert or something like that, all in all, this is actually very impressive that it's able to do this. So just something to think about, though, that as you do get to those higher temperatures, 95 plus, this unit is not going to be able to keep your medicine product below 46 Fahrenheit. Okay, so let's keep on going. So then I put it back to the 85 Fahrenheit mark. So that I'll just leave the incubator running for a little while longer to see, to sort of see if it can keep its paces over multiple days. Then something new that I haven't been doing in past tests, but actually I can do. So my incubator system can actually cool as well as heat. So what I did here was I took the temperature of the incubator down to 60 Fahrenheit to see if there would be any issues with the RX Coolers Max. This sounds counterintuitive, but with those USB thermal convection cooler plates, there's actually an optimal temperature zone, and when you go too high or even too low, the temperature profile can start to destabilize a little bit and become a problem. But in any case, the good news here is when I took it down to 60 Fahrenheit, which is probably about the lowest you would ever get in a plain cabin, the cooler actually does hold well and stays below the 46 mark, which is great. Then, keeping going with the journey, I heat it back up, so put the incubator temperature back up to the 85 mark again, and then I just switch it off to see how good the insulation is of the unit with the USB cooler lid, and as suspected, it's not very good. It warms up very, very quickly, just within under 20 minutes or so you're past the 46 mark, and within about an hour or so you're well on your way into going back to room temperature. And then of course I switch it back on and it cools back down very quickly. It takes a little bit of time to stabilize, so I thought that was quite interesting, but at some point it's able to get itself back down to the right temperature. Okay, so then what I did was I switched out the USB cooler lid for the gel pack. So I put the gel pack in the fridge overnight and basically just took it out and repacked the container with the gel pack. So the setup was still the same. I had two SwitchBot temperature probes and one Tempify temperature probe at the base, and then I even popped in a Zepbound pen. One thing to note was I didn't use any insulation layer. I just put the probes in the container as is next to the gel pack, just to sort of see what kind of temperature exposure it would get. So of interest, and as I suspected, the temperature of the probes fall very quickly to below freezing and actually really go all the way down to the gel pack's frozen freezer temperature, which was around about 20 Fahrenheit. We have a very cold freezer, by the way. And then of course over time it starts to warm up a little bit and then goes back into the temperature zone that we're trying to target, and then of course at some point it goes beyond the 46 and starts warming up to room temperature. So a couple of interesting things. So in addition to the fact that one has to be very careful here about not freezing their actual medicine product, so of course here I'm just measuring the core container temperature without any insulation. I think one is going to have to think about how to put a little bit of insulation around their product in order to use this gel pack. The other thing that's interesting is here you can see there's actually 3 plots from the temperature probes that now have separation. For the most part they were very close together, but now here you can really see how the temperature probe that's closest to the lid, so the upper container, actually warms up very, very quickly, and it reaches 46 degrees within 12 hours, maybe 13 hours. The middle temperature of the container takes a little bit more time to warm up. It takes about 31 hours to warm up, and then the lower temperature part of the container, that one takes the longest. It takes about 38 hours to warm up. But a word of caution here is depending on where your medicine product is, when you're using the gel pack in the container, actually it can start to warm up very, very quickly if it's in the upper section versus the lower section. So there's quite a big temperature gradient that sits between the lower and the upper section. And also I suspect a little bit that little foot, what that sort of little ledge on the gel pack has a little bit to do with it as well, because it can obviously keep the lower chamber very, very, very cold, while not being able to keep the upper chamber cold. So let's keep on going. So then I switched back to the USB lid and cranked up the temperature so the incubator temperature is now running at just around 85, 86, and I let and of course the unit cools back down, and I let that run for several days. Then finally on so now I'm at the end of week 2. Before I wrap up with the testing, I switch to the Inu Classic power bank. It's fully charged to see how long it will last. It lasts about 14 hours, which is pretty good. I would say that's actually pretty good overall. Pretty impressive. The amount of power that this system needs to draw to be able to stay cool. So yeah. So that basically completes everything that I wanted to share about this data set. I hope you find it interesting, and I hope this gives you a perspective on what this system can do relative to your temperature needs. So in wrapping up, I think I'm kind of on the fence with this one. It's a surprisingly expensive unit, and when you really start to look at it, it's kind of so-so. So first of all, the biogel, that thing is awful. I mean, it basically, overall, it fails at what it claims to do. This product is claimed for the biogel to be able to stay between 36 to 46 Fahrenheit at 86 Fahrenheit ambient for 32 hours. About half of the container basically warms up beyond 46 within 12 hours. So that's a complete fail. That said, the next claim where it says 36 to 79 Fahrenheit for 52 hours, I guess we can let them have that one. But just noting that the claim there is from 36 to 79 Fahrenheit, so I'm not sure how helpful or not that is. And then, of course, given the fact that this product doesn't really get far with 32 hours at 86 Fahrenheit, all of those other temperature claims at 95 and 104 are basically out the door, because there's no way that that's going to extrapolate to being a pass. So yeah, so the biogel is useless. That said, the USB cooler lid is in much better shape. So it does a really nice job of holding 36 to 46 Fahrenheit with 86 Fahrenheit. You can take it down to 60 Fahrenheit and it's still very stable, stays below 46. And then, of course, as I mentioned, when you do start to get into that 95 Fahrenheit plus zone, it does actually start to struggle to stay below 46. So I gave that part a fail. But that temperature condition's pretty extreme for most people. You would need to be in a kind of a very warm place, a sort of a desert, a tropical kind of thing, to be able to get to those kinds of temperatures, potentially outdoor and so on. And so I think for the most part it has good practicality as a USB cooler. The biogel is basically useless. So from a value proposition, I mean, I don't think this thing is worth the $210 that you may end up paying for it if you pay the full price. Heads up, I actually managed to score my unit from eBay, and the person that sold it to me accepted a bid offer of $140. And so don't worry, don't panic. I did find a nice pathway to get a good price, and it was a new unit, not a used unit. So heads up on that. So in wrapping up, capability notes, I think this, it can certainly support a range of travel conditions. As I said, be very careful of the higher temperature if you're traveling to a very hot place. I think, as I said, the biogel is a no-go. I think the attachment container that's on the side, although it looks kind of funky and cool, it's actually kind of a hindrance overall in terms of its practicality as a travel system, especially if you want to travel on a plane and you want it to be as compact as possible. And there's no way that included carrier bag is going to work. You're going to have to replace that with something much more sturdier and elegant anyway. So that little container thing on the side is kind of a useless accessory. Let's call it that. The included carrier bag is obviously pretty poor. It's been configured to allow that container on the side to be attached, so when you remove it, it's kind of a weird looking bag, but anyway, it is what it is. And then unfortunately the pocket that comes with it isn't a very sizable pocket for most battery types that people are using. Finally, I am debating whether I like the hard handle or not. As I was thinking about my travel experiences, I think it will be more of a hindrance than a positive. I was trying to give it a positive, and what that was because it is a hard handle, I could see it as being maybe a nice way to protect the USB lid from maybe getting blocked, because it needs to kind of vent. But then I thought, well, that's kind of silly anyway, because I'm very careful about that when I travel, and actually what I really want is a very compact unit, and so that hard case handle really kind of makes the whole thing very, very bulky overall. So I think all in all, in summary, the For family Voyager and the RX Coolers Mini are overall much better systems. That said, this unit can carry a little bit more, and so push comes to shove, will it get the job done in most cases? Sure. Is there better stuff out there for a better price? Absolutely. So that's a wrap from me. I will call it the night, and I wish you all the best. And so, as always, if you want to connect, you can send me an email or send me some comments. This project is just getting started, so wish me well. All the best.